You know, if there is a book written on this year's World Cup, there'll be a very big chapter on that New York surface. We almost thought that South Africa would be victims to it once again, but they were rescued by David Miller and Klaasen to reach 113 in their 20 overs. The boat that was sinking was rescued by Klaasen's 46, David Miller's 29. We are back at Cricbuzz Live. I've got Simon far away, but with us, and I've got Joyda very close to us. Simon, Joyda, do you think this is a subpar total, or considering what we have seen and how it's very difficult to know what this surface is going to play out like, it's all right?
So I think about it as like a Star Wars franchise. So if the first film was, Star Wars, A New Hope, okay, this is the return of the bowlers, so you had all the big 270, 280 hitters. Now it's time for the bowlers to come and do their jobs. Look, this is, as he said, Markram said before the game, that he is batting first because it's a used surface. So clearly they also did not expect the surface to play that particularly well. But so it's very, very difficult to say whether it's par for the course. I still feel they're about 10 or 15 short, given that they batted first, but who knows?
Simon, Indian fans said that we were probably 10, 15 runs short, 20 runs short yesterday, but 119 seemed to be okay. Do you think it's going to be the same today?
I think it's very competitive, to be honest. The used nature of the pitch, we saw that late in the piece, the Fizz bowling a lot of cutters in that last over, taking pace off the ball. Batters, when you see batters swinging through the line, and the ball not coming on and getting bowled a lot or mistiming the ball, that's when you know the pace is out of the surface. It's hard. We saw the odd one, the Tristan Stubbs delivery in particular, sort of jumped on him a little bit and he spliced that to cover to Shakib. So it's not easy at all. And with the South African bowling attack, I'm not saying it's par. It's probably just below where they would want to be. 125, 130, I think would be, well and truly on top of the game. But it's not a total that that Bangladesh are going to find easy to chase. And I think, you might have Bangladesh just in favour, just slightly favourites with this lowish score, but there's no reason why South Africa cannot win this game.
But Joyda, considering South Africa has seen what India went through yesterday, pretty much everyone seeing what's happening in the New York surface, would you have expected them to bat a little better? Because Markram is tailor-made for these surfaces. And a few shots, yes, the ball is not coming on, but you play a little more differently and adapt to these conditions?
True. Agreed. And the one thing that you'll find whenever you play games in surfaces like this is the number of bowled and leg befores that you get. Because bowled and leg befores essentially mean that the batter is just not getting the ball. The ball's not coming on the pace he's expecting. So in an innings where you've lost 6 wickets, you've lost 4 bowled and 1 LBW. There's just 1 caught. Where you go and see the average IPL match, you'll have 6 or 7 caught, about 3 of them in the boundary. This is a totally different ball game altogether. And I think the one thing you'll say is that, look, when Quinton de Kock came into bat, what was he doing? I think the instructions given to him was hit as much as you can, the pitch is going to get even worse.
Yes.
So front load hit. So they clearly went with that plan. It worked for about 10 balls, 11 balls for them. Then it didn't work out. But the truth of it is that's the only way they could have played under these circumstances. Keep hitting. Once you go 3-4 down, then sort of rein yourself in, play a little and see if you can do in the end. If your batters get off, maybe you can get to 130, 140. 130, 140 and this pitch might be a, very difficult total to chase. I think that's how the South Africans looked at them, and their game plan didn't work totally, but I still think it worked enough for keep them competitive in the game.
Simon, we'll have a look at this fall of wickets because we spoke about this. The top order for South Africa has been a concern. Yet again, they had a plan, but they lost too many wickets up at the top.
Yeah, they did. They were 12 for 4, I think, the other day in their previous game, 23 for 4 today. I sort of, in what Joy was just talking about, I think the one thing I hear too often from players, and I've said this a number of times on Cricbuzz as well, that there's no excuse to say that's the way I play. You kind of do have to at times adjust to the way the surface is playing. I thought de Kock's shot to get out was quite poor, just to swing across the line. I thought Markram's shot was really ordinary. That ball did nothing.
Yes.
He made it look like it was doing something. It actually didn't do anything at all. So you still got to be able to push the ones, to pick up the twos and to still try and put the bad ball away. There is probably going to be one that's got your name on it that's going to get you out at some stage, but maybe just temper it slightly. And then you might find if you have a decent back half, you can get to that 130. They were very fortunate again. It was a terrific partnership. They weathered the storm in Miller and Klaasen and allowed South Africa to get past 100. But I know it's a tough surface. It's not easy for the batters, and I get that. But I think sometimes you do just have to temper what you're trying to do and mix it up a little bit with just maybe rotating the strike, particularly with that left-right combination. Yes. I think that's something that Klaasen and Miller did really well.
But Joanna, do you think they got it wrong up at the toss? Because we know that, people who won the toss only twice have opted to bat first here at New York. So do you think that?
They would have seen the India game as well. And as they said, if it's a worn surface, it's a morning game, there's no dew, then the second innings should be logically worse than the first.
Correct.
So if whatever batting conditions are here, it will deteriorate by another 10%. So they're looking at that. But the only advantage, I'd say, for Bangladesh is they're used to batting on minefields. I mean, low and slow, if not minefields, low and slower conditions. And they're not big hitters.
Yes.
So this suits their game more. Nudging for a single here and a single there is far more down Shakib's territory than it is down, say, a Markram or a Klaasen's territory. So that is the only advantage, that they know how to scrap for runs, because in the kind of games they play, it's always, they like chasing 130, 140 scores. So perhaps that might suit them. But and South Africa is a formidable bowling attack, and they're just going to do exactly the same things these people did.
But Simon, do you think that South Africa is really struggling on these pitches? Because we've seen what's happening with their power plays. Even today's power play, I think 23 or something is what they got, and they've constantly been struggling this World Cup with the conditions and the power play.
Yeah, they have. They're not the only team. They're not the Lone Rangers on that front. But when you look at those numbers, 16 for 4, 24 for 3, 25 for 4, 27 for 2 in that first one. So they really have sort of struggled. This is either the lowest power play scores for them in T20 World Cup. So they have been struggling. They've struggled to assess the conditions, but most teams have inside that power play. And so that tells me that the pitches are just very, very difficult to bat on in New York. So where are they going to now come right? They've got to take advantage of what everyone else has struggled with, make sure that they get the bowling right inside that power play. The one thing I will say about Bangladesh, I know that they're sort of used to these types of surfaces more and more. I don't think, and with all due respect, I don't think they're the bravest team. And if South Africa start to really crank it up with the quick bowlers, they might find themselves just being a little bit jittery on a surface like this, because this is the sort of pitch that, one or two might jump and bounce, and then batters might just be a little bit tentative. So South Africa know exactly what they've got in store for them. They've batted on it already. They know how to bowl on it. And now they're just going to have to go out there and get the job done. But there will be concerns moving forward with that top order.
But Joyda, Quinton de Kock didn't show, he was not seeming tentative at all when he went out today. We saw him hit that for a good first over. So he got off to a good start. But then we saw quite a few false shots played, like Simon was saying, the shot that Markram played was not quite a shot that Markram usually plays. Do you think also getting runs in the power play, getting those singles is tough also because the field's in? So
it is in, but I'm sure, there's still ways to get it. These are... Look, we are not talking about tail-enders here. We are talking about some of the technically best batters in the world. We are talking about Quinton de Kock and Markram. They're not hitters or just slashers. They're much more than that, which is why the disappointment is there. You can expect somebody who's batting at 7 or 8 to give it a few swings, doesn't get it right, doesn't know how to take singles. Not these guys.
True.
And I think that's what you have to question yourself, that, one guy's given a mandate to go and hit up front, he does. All of them can't go swinging all the time. And I think that's what Simon is saying, that they have to take responsibility at some point in time.
Simon, I want to know how happy you are seeing these bowlers bowl the way they are, with the conditions, of course, helping them. The seam trio, Tanzim, Tuskin, and of course, Mustafizur looking very good today. Again, I want to ask you is, most of the batters, they were kind of playing for the ball coming in, but the ball was just holding up and going straight. So do you think they're not picking that?
Yeah, not picking it. And look, it's difficult when you see a ball in a certain area. your mind tells you that you can get forward, you can hit through the line, all of those things from a batting point of view. It just holds in the surface. It does a little bit. It's not quite there. It's a very difficult time for the batters, but I am enjoying it. I don't like to see 260, 270. I don't like to see 110, 115. I love a 140, 150 game. And this is probably a little bit extreme on the flip side from what we've seen in the last couple of months in India. But, the bowlers have still got to get it right. And I think that's one thing that Tanzan did today. Tuscan Ahmed, when he's back and fully fit, he makes a massive difference to this Bangladesh lineup. And the Fizz, great figures from even that last over was absolutely superb. Although he didn't pick up a wicket, he conceded, 4 or 5 in that last over runs. With a wide, just a brilliant performance all round. We sort of thought the spinners might have a reasonable role to play, but in America at the moment, particularly New York, the seamers are having a huge role to play. So I'm quite enjoying. I'm enjoying seeing some of the top batters in the world struggle a little bit. Sometimes it's humbling.
But Joyda, the bowlers, like he said, need to do their job, and just bowling that test match length, I think, seems to be working this World Cup.
No, it's working, and Mustafizur bowled beautifully. He bowled beautifully, and in that final over, the way he just kept that ball without going for wide, sort of keeping that length, keeping it tantalizing. It goes Tuscan coming in, always attacking the stumps. See, again, golden rule in places like this: attack the stumps. Variable bounce, let the bounce do the dirty work for you. You're going to get one ball jagging in. You're going to get one ball hitting your pad low. Just allow the pitch to do the wickets for you. I think that's what they did very well. The Tanzid, and they held to their jobs. Tuscan and Tanzid just held to their jobs. Mustafizur did, played the angles exactly the right way. I was also impressed with Rishad Hossain, he bowled. And if you see the conditions, it's very interesting. Very rarely will you see a bowling cut from Bangladesh where Shakib bowls just one over.
True.
But they bowled him, and I thought it was good captaincy because yes, sir, Mahmudullah seems to be bowling better. Miller's having a bit of trouble against him. He's not getting settled. Just stayed with Mahmudullah, stayed with the other bowlers. Shakib just got one over, which tells you that there's not a lot of turn out here. There's not a lot of turn on offer, but there is bounce and there is variable nature of the pitch. So it's again going to be something which is tailor-made for the South African fast bowlers.
Simon, how do you think Bangladesh is feeling? Because we know how attacking the South African bowlers can be.
Yeah, there'll be some nerves, but there'll be an element of confidence as well. That they should feel like this is a total they can achieve if they bat sensibly and bat really well. What will sort of go against them is if they start to put themselves under pressure by trying to be overly aggressive in that power play, because we've seen every side that, you can be 3 or 4 down. If they're 3 or 4 down inside that power play, they lose the game. I don't think they have the wherewithal of a Markram, of a Klaasen and a Miller through that 5, 6, 7 range of their batting. So if they lose early wickets, I think they put themselves under enormous trouble.
But Joyda, how does one handle this? Do you go aggressive, or when it's a small total, you also tend to get overcautious, which can also backfire? Yeah,
it's about risk management. How many risks do I take? I have to take a certain number of risks up front because I need to hit the ball over the infield. But I can't take too many. So I pick my bowlers, I pick my spots, or I tell myself, okay, this is what is going to happen. If he's going to bowl here, this is what I'm going to try. Limit those. You could still get it wrong. You could still get it right, but you don't know. But they must, with this South African bowling attack, they must come out with a game plan. You cannot go out there and say, I'm not going to. You have to say, okay, if he bowls here, I'm going to try and do this. If he does this, and have that plan in your head.
All right, Simon, do we have a game plan in place? Do you know what your power play prediction is going to be?
I've got a number in mind, but I'd like you two to go first.
Okay,
strategy. He has a game plan already.
My number's already stuck in my head.
42.
So 33 this time.
Ooh, 33. I am going with 26.
That is exactly the number I had in my head.
So go for it. Why do you both of you can sit on 26?
Okay. No, I can't. I'm not going to sit in Saiyami's lap. I will
You must be the one man who said no to that. I'm sorry. I'll have that on record.
29 for me.
Okay.
Okay, so 26, 29, 33 is what we've got. We'll see if South Africa go for the hat-trick win or if Bangladesh can get 2 and 2. We'll find out and we'll be giving you all the updates at the 10 over point, the Cricbuzz Combos. So do join us there.